You're listening to Artistic Finance, show 201. On today's show, we chat with researcher, educator, and director CeCe Ortiz-Barnett. We discuss imposter syndrome and the importance of ego, giving grace and providing safe space in higher education, training all types of learners and accommodating them as we're able, and CeCe's exchange program for students from historically Black colleges and universities to experience primarily white institutions of higher education, so that way those students can have a higher likelihood of pursuing a master's or doctorate in theater. Now, this interview is for educators, so it's not our usual fare for freelancers. So if you're an educator, you're probably going to love it. If you are considering getting into education, either as a faculty person or as a student, this is also certainly worth a listen. And if you are somebody who wants nothing to do with education or higher education, it might be worth listening anyway to confirm your choice that you want nothing to do with education, because we certainly do lay out a complicated, underfunded, and thankless landscape that it just is. So anyway, that's your warning about what we're going to discuss. You can find links to everything we talk about in the show notes or at artisticfinance.com/201. And this is your reminder that anytime you're listening to an episode, if we mention something or you don't catch it, that I've probably put a link to it in the show notes. So if you can just sort of remember a word of it or something, go look in the show notes. And those are always at artisticfinance.com/whatever the number of the show is. So today's show is 201 and the notes are at artisticfinance.com/201. And last week's episode with Carl Faber, those notes are at artisticfinance.com/200. All right, that's it. Thank you for listening. Without further ado, let's get to the show.
You are listening to Artistic Finance, where we help creatives learn about the business of show business.
Welcome and thank you for listening. I am your host, Ethan Steimel, broadcasting out of Lake St. Louis, Missouri, and we are recording this on April 4th, 2026. And the news is, I hate to admit it, I don't really know what's going on, but I read an article yesterday about the price of aluminum in the United States, and apparently it's very high, which I guess is not good. The article explained that that's because we put tariffs on Canadian aluminum. So they took it all away and sold it to other people. And then we got ours from the Middle East. And then the United States decided to bomb the Middle East, and including a school, I'll just mention. I think that was out there in the world. Anyway, so now we can't get aluminum from the Middle East. So this is a huge problem that we've caused for ourselves. So that's all the news I know that's going on. And with that, today I welcome director, educator, many things, Dr. Crestencia Ortiz-Barnett, aka CeCe. Do you pay attention to the news? Do you know what's going on?
I do, but it's so daunting at times. And I can't really say that I actually know what's going on. You know, what is real now? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
And where are you broadcasting out of?
I am currently in Greensboro, North Carolina.
All right, so I just have to say we know each other because we met at Arizona State University. I taught there 23-24, and specifically where we worked the most was on a production of Detroit 67,
Yes.
which you directed.
I did.
And I, afterwards, like a year afterwards or something, I reached out to you and I said, hey, I never followed up, but I wanted to mention, like, you were so good with my student. So I was a mentor of a lighting design student, Reggie, shout out Reggie. It was a unique experience for me because this student is a stage management student. Now they're graduated, so they're stage managers are based in Phoenix. If anybody needs a stage manager, they're very good. But they, during that production, like behind the scenes with me, they were like, Ethan, I don't want to do lighting. I'm not exactly sure why I decided I want to do the lighting design for this show. I'm never going to do another one. This is so frustrating. It's so hard. It's a lovely play, but like, I feel like I'm not doing a great job and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that was like, That was like the lighting design behind the scenes that now the world knows, Reggie. I'm so sorry. But you handled all of that. You didn't know all that, but like you just handled them very kindly, like throughout the tech process. Like you got what you needed out of the lighting, and you did so without like ever getting upset or saying like, why are you taking so long? Or I don't know, anything like that. And so I just reached out to you afterwards and I was like, I am so thankful that there was such a kind director on that project, because it just made my life easier, because I had toddler at home. So I was like trying to be not in tech as much as possible. So I want to support the students, but I also have my own life. For that production, I was never worried because you were such a kind director. And so, CeCe, thank you for that.
No, thank you. I think, later on we may get into why I approach theater the way that I do as a director. I actually ran into Reggie last weekend in Arizona. I took some students with me to Arizona, and we went to see Three Sisters at Black Theater Troupe, and Reggie was stage managing, I believe. And so they told me this, like, no, I totally put that out of my mind because it was terrible. And I was like, no, actually, as a Detroit native, you gave me exactly what I needed, exactly what I wanted. And, I think sometimes we forget that these are educational institutions and everyone has to learn, and there is a process, and we have to be kind to that, and I have my own reasons why I am the way that I am when I go into directing. So.
And for context, for people who don't know that show, it's set in a basement. And so the lighting, and it's naturalistic. So the lighting is not complicated. And so I'm making it sound like maybe there was these big problems or whatever. No, it's a very, very simple show. And the lighting was gorgeous by Reggie. But those are just Reggie's internal thoughts and the drama.
It was beautiful. I mean, we are all our hardest critics. So yeah, exactly. It was great.
Okay, one more thing on Detroit 67, which is now I'm teaching at Webster University here in St. Louis.
Okay.
And we are on the same campus as the Rep Theater of St. Louis. And they just announced their 2026-2027 season. And I noticed they are actually doing Detroit 67, directed by Brian Marable, in spring of 2027.
I love that.
So, yeah.
Sending them.
Well, I was like, let me check out the director. Maybe it's CeCe. And then I was like, oh.
No, I wish, I'm not directing right now. It's kind of sad, I mean, I love what I'm doing. I'm teaching, and that's great. But, directing is where it's at. It's my love. So
for this moment, by the time this episode comes out, you may be directing again. Because and you also sound like me, because if I'm not immediately, like, technically I'm working on 5 lighting designs in the future, but out of this moment right now, I'm just teaching. I'm not lighting design. So I'm like, I'm not a real lighting designer.
I know. It's interesting, but I know that it'll come back around. So
amazing. All right, CeCe, we've learned a little bit about you, but what have we missed? Because I know there's a lot, because you have doctor in the front.
Well, yes. I have 5 advanced degrees. I have 5 degrees. An associate in education, a BA in theater studies, an MA in theater, with the concentration in African American theater, an MFA in directing, and a PhD in education. And I was getting the PhD and the MFA at the same time from 2 different universities. So it was really easy. It's nothing was hard about that at all. But no, I give it 0 stars. Do not recommend. But it was great. Like, I loved it. So yeah, I'm a theater director, theater historian, and I am currently a professor at North Carolina A&T, where I teach theater history and African American drama. And the work that I do really lives at the intersection of performance, education, and access. So I'm deeply invested in how theater can create a sense of belonging, essentially for students who haven't always seen themselves reflected in those spaces. So,
all right, you are incredibly highly educated. Why did you get a PhD in education?
Who knows? I don't know why I did that. No, it was it was great.
Actually, can I say I'm not into education. Like, I'm not in love with it, but I did get my master's of fine arts. And I did look into getting my doctorate in theater, doctorate, but I didn't because it was sort of like theater history was the only way that you could do it. And I was like, well, I'm really into lighting. There's an avenue in which I could get really like into the history of lighting and like maybe, but I was like, no, master's is about the top of the line because otherwise it's just education for sure. And so that's why I was like, no, doctorate.
I made it what I needed to be for myself. At the time, we were moving. My husband, he was active duty, so in the Air Force, and we he got stationed in Japan. And so I was like, oh, well, what am I going to do in Japan? And it's Okinawa, so what am I going to do on this little island? So let me go back to school. What can I do? Like, what program can I do that's all online where I would have to visit the States like once a year? So I went through the University of Arizona, and I got my PhD in education, but I utilized it because I'm a neurodivergent theater creative artist. And so a lot of my professors didn't know how to teach me, and I kind of got lost in the sauce at times because I'm like, there's better ways, there's kinder ways. So I wanted to know everything I could about how I can start creating my own methods and creating like performance-based assessments because, these traditional assessments weren't working for me. So that's what I did. That's why I got it. And I was like, okay. So ever since then, I've transformed my classrooms into what I needed so that I'm making sure that I'm meeting all learning modes. And I think my students are having a good time, and so am I. So I think that's all that matters.
Oh my gosh, this is so incredible. I didn't know any of this about you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't want to focus on that neurodivergent thing because I am officially not neurodivergent. However, I don't understand the rest of the world at all. And my students currently at Webster, they're like, Ethan, we love you. You're a brilliant lighting designer. Sometimes when you're teaching, you're acting like a 3-year-old. And they're like, could you please go just talk with somebody about getting something so that you're not so. And I'm like, oh, okay.
No, but that's what it's about. See, they don't get it. Okay, they don't get it.
Yeah, so I think they're all neurodivergent, and I'm just
Yeah, right, exactly. Like they don't understand. Like it's supposed to be fun, and I tell my students, like I told them this week, I need you to stop thinking that this is a classroom and start thinking of it as training. Like I'm training you for the world, and we can have fun when we're doing this training, and we can ask questions, and you can make mistakes, and I'm gonna make mistakes because I'm going to forget to bring something one day and we're just going to wing it. But I don't know what's happening in this generation of students like coming in. I understand 2020 happened and everything. So now it's like getting them back to this is what we do and let's just be free and make mistakes. And you don't have to be perfect. But they don't get it.
That's awesome. But also this like clicks right into why I'm like, you were such a kind director. Like,
Thank
why
you.
aren't all directors like there are other kind directors in the world, just for the record. There are directors I love working with and everybody loves working with. But it's not like 90% of directors is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like
I've had my horror stories, so trust me. I mean, I went away from school for 10 years, theater, not school, but I left theater for 10 years because of, almost 10 years because of the experiences. That's why I got the PhD. And then halfway through, I was like, this is so boring. I don't want to do this. I really wanted that MFA. And so I was like, who's going to want this old lady at URTA's? I got 7 interviews and 7 offers. So I was like, it worked out. And I got to, I'm so glad that I came to ASU and did that program because I just needed something different. So I was kind of left to my own devices really to figure out what it was that I needed from that program. So I got it.
So I did a side tangent on the URTA here. And I'm just saying, CeCe, you are desired by people. Who's going to want this old lady? That's ridiculous. But so I went to URTA. So the way you get into Masters of Fine Arts programs, at least in design, is that you go to URTA in Chicago or wherever it is, and you interview. All the grad schools go there, and then they interview prospective students. So I went there. I did the same thing. I interviewed with like 15 schools and then started talking with them. But somebody in over at Webster this week, they phrased it somewhere because I said, like, how did your grad school get you or something? And they said, I was recruited. And I was like, wow, that is so amazing that you were recruited. You are so fancy that this school went and recruited you. And they said, yeah, I went to URTA. And I was like, wait a second. I went to URTA. And I thought I was
Mm.
going to find school, but you're telling me it was the reverse. Like they're just like, look, we're the fish in the barrel. And so now I'm like, you know what? I was recruited. That's my new
It's the
thing.
reframing. Let's reframe. We're reframing our minds. Yes, yes. The youth are teaching us. We
It's amazing.
Yes, I was recruited by 7 schools.
Exactly.
Got to
Exactly.
choose the one of my liking. But no, I love that. I love that.
I love it. CeCe, all right, 2
Mhm.
softball questions. I don't do hard-hitting questions here, so only soft-hitting
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
This is about you, your creative personality. What is a live event that you like to experience as an audience member?
Oh, I mean, I love live theater. The live theater that makes you feel like it's alive and that you are alive, not, we've all been to those who were kind of like falling asleep. But no, the live theater that makes you feel alive. Because, I love live theater because you can't recreate it twice. There's just something about being in a room where the audience and performers are in conversation with each other, which kind of happens in a lot in like Black theater spaces where you can just like, it's like this call and response. I'm especially drawn to the work that's rooted in Black storytelling. So pieces that carry history and pieces that carry our responsibility and our truth. When I leave thinking about my role in this world, not just the plot, that's when I know I really did something. So, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. The call and response thing, that's something that is like
Yes.
the opposite of what I like.
Oh, really?
But well,
Oh,
I'm getting, I will say over the last like 10 to 5 years, with immersive stuff becoming more of a thing, I'm getting a
Mhm.
little more better with it. I think it's because I just have social anxiety of like I'll react the wrong way. Like I'll laugh at
No, there's
something
never
and it was actually supposed to be like a sad moment.
I mean, oh my god. Yeah, that's what I'm true, yes, and, um, maybe it was funny, but, yes, there's a couple articles I'm probably gonna send you on that, like how how different people react in the theater.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
because
lot of
I'm
my
like, don't break this fourth wall. Like, let me be
no.
here. Like, let me
Mm-mm.
do my role as the audience and just be here, and you do. And then at the end, I will politely.
See, and that's what I'm actually having to teach my HBCU students that, look, when you go up into these spaces, you're gonna have to be quiet, and when you hear everyone else clap, that's when you clap. Because we're so used to this, giving we believe, and the Black acting there are different Black acting methods that believe that the cast, they need your energy. So they feed off of that. Yeah, we can get a little wild. But it's all fun. It's all fun.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So now, because this is
Mhm.
artistic finance, this is my hard hitting
Okay.
question. Are you good, bad, or neutral with money?
Well, I'd say I'm strategic with limited resources. So,
Perfect.
working in academia, especially at an HBCU, and from my experience of being like a non-traditional student, an independent student, I was homeless, living out of my car in undergrad. So I've learned how to stretch a dollar. I've learned how to advocate for funding and sometimes build something out of nothing. So I've had to be creative and collaborative and persistent. So maybe not good in the traditional sense, but I know how to make money move with purpose.
Okay. I have heard stories about people living out of their car.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
I am curious, like how that works logistically, because like, was this one night or was this like a year?
No, this was months. This was months. I was, um I had a job and I was working double shifts. I was leaving a very, abusive relationship, and I was just like, "You know what? I'm not gonna allow this to impact my life negatively." Like, I started off at school, so I was a transfer in. I moved across the country, and I was in my last year of school. That's why I got the associates. They made me go to a community college for a semester, and then I could transfer to the university. So it was just like a whole thing. And then I found myself living out of my car because I had no place to stay, and the place that I was staying, they told me that I had to go, unfortunately, because my ex was coming. So
Mm.
I was just sleeping in the Walmart parking lot, and the days went by so fast. I mean, it was really hard, but I was focused. So I
Yeah.
spent a lot of my hours on campus. I did a lot of work. I started a Black theater organization that was called African American Student Association for Theater and Film on campus. So I spent a lot of my time there, and no one really knew, which caused some issues later on because people were not very understanding of some things that came up. But yeah, it wasn't. I used to be ashamed to say that. I used to be ashamed to tell that story. And now it's like, it was just a part of my life that happened that needed to happen for me to be who I am, and not really where I am, but who I am in this world. I can be that anywhere. So,
Yeah. I mean, mad respect from me, because I mean, I feel like you
yeah,
look
thank
back on
you.
that and you're like, yeah, the old me was badass. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I couldn't do it now. I don't know how I did it then, but
Yeah. And I will say, like, I consider myself new to academia because I'm nearing my second full year of like having taught, like 1 year at
Mhm.
ASU and 1 year at Webster. But I will say, like, I think the wins in academia, I know for sure, are changing. It's not like professors are babysitters, but
Right.
but it's like there is, even like at Webster, love my colleagues, but I think some of them are, I'm just gonna say it bluntly because like it's not the right word, but
Yeah.
like harsh. Like some are a little more harsh. Like sometimes I'll have students, and if one student does this to me, it passes through to the whole class, but it's like they're
Yeah.
just like overwhelmed. And like ASU especially, because ASU accepts everybody. It's
Yeah.
like for the most part, it's like we
Mhm.
accept you, whatever. And so
Yeah.
I never knew sort of what was going on with my students at ASU, but it like opened my eyes of like, oh my gosh, like these students are in school and they're also doing all these other things
Yeah.
to like get by. I don't even know how they do it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I am like very responsive to like what my students, like where they are in the moment. And I think some other people are not, which is totally fine. It's academia,
Yeah.
has standards, blah, 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 blah. But I,
Some people are just jaded with,
yeah,
life. Maybe I really found that a lot of people who wanted to make it big in the industry and do things, and then, what's that saying? Those who can't teach, whatever that saying is. I hate that saying because I actually am doing exactly what I wanted to do. With the connections that I've made over the years and the awards, and I was a Gamage Scholar, I could have been in New York. I could have been doing all of these things. That's not what I wanted. I don't like being on that side of things. I love pushing others to that. And I love seeing their success, and I love cheering them on. I love that. So I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. But I do feel like a lot of people they feel jaded because they have to, I have this and I have that, but I have to teach and it's taking up time. And then sometimes I think that impacts like your teaching, and I think it impacts your students. And because yes, you want to be out here in this world and you have to be a working artist, and to teach theater, like you still got to be doing something in the world. It's hard to balance, so I'm a researcher, so I can do that. But I think that a lot of students are being negatively impacted by that because a lot of people are just. I've met a lot of theater creatives and professors that are just jaded with life because they didn't end up where they wanted to be. That's not my business.
well,
That's on them. So
yeah. And it also goes back to like what you were saying about training, of like, this is training. It's not like school, pass the test, da, da, da. It's like in
Mhm.
lighting, it's like there's 1,000 ways to do it. And I will teach you one of those 1,000, and you can maybe do it another one of those thousands. And so like,
That's it.
yeah. And
I
also
I can only give you what I could give you, and you can take it or leave it. That's it.
exactly. And I also love that you say you're doing exactly what you want to do, because I remember I had a lighting designer named Kathy Perkins on the show, and she was like assistant lighting design on Broadway. And
Mhm.
I don't want to age them, but it was like
Yeah.
50 years ago, 40 years ago.
Mhm.
But they were like
Yeah.
doing this, and I'm like looking through their credits and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, you were working on Broadway. And then I was like, why didn't you continue that? And they're like, it wasn't my thing. So like, it was, people were mean. People were like, not, I mean, that was the wrong way to say
Yeah.
it, but like, she was like, it just wasn't my, like,
That's
I didn't
true.
care for the environment.
Mhm.
And so like, and I wanted to teach and I wanted to be a historian and do all this other stuff. And so I love that they weren't a lighting designer on Broadway. Well, actually they are now. They have since been a lighting designer on Broadway, but
Love.
like, they're like, I'm doing what I want, which is like teaching and all this other stuff.
I love that.
And, okay, one last thing about that too
Mhm.
is one thing I do like about Webster University, not that makes it sound like there's a lot of things I don't like. um, one of the
I got
great
you.
is that I get to interview my prospective students, which is the first and
Mhm.
only place I've ever been that like I get to recruit them basically. Like I have to put my seal of approval on, yes, accept this person. So
Oh, I
I had a
love that.
really great interview yesterday with a student. I said like, where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years or whatever? And they said, oh, I think I might want to go back to my high school and teach lighting. I don't know if my reaction to that would have been different like 10 years ago even, but I was like, oh my gosh, that is such a good goal. Yes, you're not aiming for Broadway or you're not aiming for all these. And this person seems to be very talented and they could like, if they want to like the Super Bowl or the Olympics, they could totally go do it. But they're like, like that's in my plan. And I was like, oh my gosh, first off, that's awesome. Second off, thank you for telling me because now I can like make sure you reach the education requirements that you might need to go do that. But yeah, all these people that have like education as a goal, it's like good for like, I'm happy that people like you exist in this world.
Well, yeah, because there are educators that are gatekeepers, and there are educators that only it's there. Like, unfortunately, you have people who have their teachers who have their favorites, and so they spend more time with them teaching them this and giving them resources than they do the other. And it's like, why did you get in this business? Like, who did you get in this business for? And it's really sad. So we need good people who want to do good things. So.
All right. Okay. So the reason I wanted to talk to you today really was, I don't know if we subtitled this, but somebody somewhere said we could talk about funding, access, and the hidden labor in academia.
Yeah.
And that probably came from you because you're such a smart person.
Maybe. I don't know.
Let's get into that, but can we get into it through the vein of you in the world? I have seen you take students from your university and then take them over to ASU through this great program that I'm going to let you tell us about it. Okay. But I sort of like asked you about like the funding for it because I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a great thing. It's so good that the institutions do this. And your response was sort of like, excuse me, the institutions did not support
like, where'd you get your news from?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, how much? And it was sort of like, I think the answer was like 0, basically.
Yeah.
So can you tell us like, what is that program? And then I'm just interested in the funding of it because it seems like such a good program. I think I was like, I want to do something like this or I want to support it. And you were like, it's not really a thing that anyone's supporting.
It's a thing now. I mean, we just finished our second cohort. Yes, this program, it's the Theater Exchange program that I created. And it exists because I saw a real gap. HBCUs don't have MFA programs in theater. So students who are expected to transition to a PWI or an HSI for graduate school without ever seeing or experiencing those environments. I've been doing research for 12 years, almost 13 now, and it showed that these students of color are falling through the cracks. They're not graduating on time. They're having a hard time, through to graduation. So funding it has honestly been a mix of like creativity and advocacy. So last year, the students paid for their flights while my husband and I covered hotels and most food and transportation costs. It was not a program that was supported by my previous administration at all.
Can I butt in with questions?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
First off, are you at the same institution now that you were a year ago?
I am.
Okay, so different.
We just have a full different administration. Yes.
Got it. Okay, and then how long of a time was this? Was this like 2 days or 7 days that you were in the other location that you were paying for the hotels?
A week. Yes, 5 days. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool.
5 days.
Right.
Yeah. I understood though. I had the program in my mind. Before I even had the job, I was like, this is the program that I want to create. And it wasn't attached to any institution. I didn't have a job yet. So I was like, but when I got the job, I said, oh, great, this would be amazing. But I came in and being really ambitious and just being who I am, like, really, if you're going to hire me, you're going to get a great work because I'm really like that girl. But I got it. I was like, okay, I get it. I'm new. And this is a radical idea and no one really wants to help me with it. They just weren't with it. So, but they didn't know me. They didn't know the work that I do or, so it was okay. But this year, thanks to our new administration, and we have a dean who absolutely loves the arts and loves the students and really wants this program for the university, we had a fully funded program. So flights and hotel stays and food, the students had a per diem and transportation, everything was funded. So we secured institutional support and we got to build relationships with Arizona State University's Music, Dance, and Theater program. And everyone believes in the mission now. So because of that, we have an international theater program now well, it's International Theater Exchange Program. Still working on a name. So partnering with local institutions like University of Ghana, think of Winneba University, and Roverman Productions in Accra, Ghana. So I'll be traveling there in a few months to begin the groundwork on that. And actually, my dean is coming with me, and my chair is coming with me, and they're really invested in this. So I'm very thankful that my university is supportive of this. And even though I have to come out of pocket for a majority of my needs while I'm there, I'm hoping that next year we will have raised enough money to begin taking our first cohort. So I'm creating this, so 2 programs now. And it's all so that my students have an opportunity to see what else is out there at HBC. I mean, we don't have a lot of funding. A lot of my students are just learning about UPTA. They're just learning about URTA. They just don't. There's just, resources and access, like yes, and the access to those resources. I mean, but if we're really serious about equity, then programs like this should be fully supported. I should be able to double the number of students who can attend next year. I know I'm ambitious, but we're 2 years in, and I'm hopeful that our third would be amazing.
Wow. So okay. So did you say you took 7 in the first cohort?
I took 6 and 6. So. Yeah, 6. So maybe 12 next year. Let's cross our fingers. And if anybody wants to sponsor a child, sponsor a college student.
A large child. I think it's fair for us to call them children. I honestly do.
Yes, it is.
When they start acting like adults, I will call them adults.
That part.
I hope they're not listening. You're all adults. Is this something like, so are these theater students? What are these students studying?
Yes, they are theater students. Yes, all of the ones that were professional theater student majors. We have tech majors with very small, I mean, maybe 1 or 2 students. We have a lot of transition going out, so we don't know what the recruitment's going to look like. But hopefully we can bring some in because it's necessary.
It's totally necessary. So these 6 are performance?
Yes, they're performance.
Focused? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then is this something that they do one time in their 4 years with you? Or
yes.
Can they do it multiple times? Okay.
No, just one time, just to get their feet wet. I wish we could afford to do a real exchange, maybe for a semester, maybe in the future, because there's things that we teach that are not being taught there, but there's lots of things that they teach that are not being taught where we are. So we could, help each other out. When they gain that kind of access, it opens up another part of their mind about what is possible for them. And that's what we're here for. Like, this is what we're here to do, is to learn all that we can. But you don't know what you don't know.
I think it's also awesome because, like, Webster has an incredible foreign exchange program, and you can go a semester. And I call it incredible because you just pay your tuition and then you go, and like sometimes there's a fee, and I think you have to pay for your flights. But I don't think you pay for the housing. So like, anyway, so it's incredible because it's like quite reasonable, and you can just go. But I will say, like, for the theater students, there are all these universities and places they can go and like do their semester or half the semester, but they show up and they just take like whatever classes they have a selection of, like, that they want to take. There's not like theater classes. For the theater department specifically. It would be super cool to do what you're doing, which is like go and meet the theater people and take the theater classes, and like, if it could get baked into the 4-year program, I mean, that would really be incredible.
No, you're on to something there, because
I like how specific you are.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, and they had no room to breathe. Well, last year they complained about not having any time. They were like, as soon as we got off the plane, we're in a dance class. Yes, this is what will happen. Someone wants you to come and do something, you might get off the plane and go right on set. But so they were thrown into it because I just did semester SC last semester. So I wasn't here. I was overseas. So I did semester SC and I taught theater, but it was just one theater class that was offered, and it was a very intro. It wasn't anything specific. So that was hard for me to teach, because I'm like, how do I teach you what I love in one semester in a global, like, that's just theater history itself is a year, and it should be 4 or 5. But so I was semester SC, like, study abroad programs. I don't think that they can give our students what they really need, and it's going to be up to us to be able to do that, because no one's gonna do it. No one really understands. They don't understand us. So if it's going to be I'm not too busy trying to be out here and make a name for myself. I'm trying to get students to be exactly who they want to be in this world. So I got the time. So I don't mind
Although
doing
now
it.
you have reflecting on my own, I'm not going to call it laziness, but like
No.
my own not wanting to do work I don't need to do. Because I'm like, there's the theater students, at least my lighting design students, tend to go to a certain place like Copenhagen, I think, or something. Genoa, Switzerland. I don't know. Anyway, they're all going to the same place, which is not necessarily theater like focused, but I should go look at that school and look at their theater department and then be like, hey guys, you should go take this class while you're over there. This is what I should do. And or reach out to them and be like, hey, we're going to send you a couple people pretty much every year. Like, how can we make that work? The funding. Okay, back to the funding of this program. So you just invented this program out of thin air.
Yes.
It was not supported the first year. What about the organization? Because you were going to ASU. Did they fund any part of it at all?
No. No.
And no shade to ASU. I'm just
no shade. Like they really rolled out the red carpet. Like, I mean, I'm not even, oh man, I can't even thank them enough. I think my students have been sending thank you emails all week. I can't thank them enough for how gracious they were to allow us in the classrooms, the time that they gave my students. My students were like, I did not expect that this is how it would be, that I would feel so supported. I had students crying. Like it was beautiful because they got to see where this love of this art can take them into grad school. But no, they didn't.
Okay. And then,
maybe some other time, because I didn't think that this would turn into a recruiting thing, but I have a lot of students ready to
go. Yeah.
to apply to ASU. So
yeah. Okay, so then this year also they didn't support it, like, and them taking people, that's supporting in a way that, like,
yes.
So,
Yeah. I mean, that was support, and they got like lots of gifts. My students came back with water cups and blankets, and I was like, "Where's mine? I graduated from here."
So these other universities that you're starting to try to start partnerships with, like Ghana or whatever you've mentioned, is it the same situation where your current place will support the trip, but the incoming university will not support financially, but more just
I think that's where, I won't say my flaw is, I don't know how to navigate that. I've never done this before, and I don't have the assistance. I don't know what that looks like on the other side. I don't know how to even, I'm asking for something. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm asking for it. So I got to pay for it. But also they get something in return. But I don't know how to, I don't know. This is where I'm going to have to learn some.
I also don't know. And I think if you can work it from, like, if your institution is the one that's like wanting it the most, we'll say, I think it's appropriate for them to sort of like figure it out on their end. And I'm just curious because I think it's so cool, and I have no grand plans of partnerships like this or anything, but I'm incredibly amazed by it because I have found, and this will be a shock to no one listening, but I know when I started teaching at ASU, I was just shocked how little money there was to do anything, at all. And for me, it's just very specifically like I wanted to go to like a lighting conference, right? That's like a normal thing to go, and I just assumed the university would want their professors to like go to these conferences and like talk, and they were like, "Oh, we have a little bit of money for you," so I was like, "Oh yeah, can I have it?" And then it was just like, I just got ghosted time and time again. It was like, we're working on it. And then like the conference came and went, then the school year came and went. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not getting that mysterious funding. And it was like $700. I didn't think I was asking for that much.
I feel very blessed that in my university, it was actually in my contract that as a tenure track assistant professor, I would get $5,000 my first year and $5,000 my second year. That went very fast because things are expensive. And when a conference registration is $800 and you're a junior faculty, is like, so that's hotel and transportation and, flights, all of that it goes pretty quickly. And so in my third year, I think I'm up for, I have to have my end of year evaluation or something. I'm going to have to ask for more funding because I can't continue to do this with my money. I don't know. It's, I'm not rich,
Yeah. And also let me not complain because I left ASU before applying to the full-time tenure track where I would have gotten some funding like that. I think that same
Mm-hmm.
amount. It might have been 3, but I think it was 5. But about that $5,000, are you using that for this program or for something separate?
I cannot use it for student travel. It only has to be for myself. So when I went to ASU, I got to pay for my flight and my hotel. And so my administrators, they went to financial aid. And so everything was paid out to the students for whatever they needed to pay for. So I can't pay for anything else with this funding. It just has to be for me. So students have
Got
to
it.
get it from
Okay.
somewhere else. But yeah.
I also don't want to whine and be like, academia, it's so hard.
Yeah.
But I do just, again, like something that surprised me
Mhm.
here at Webster. So ASU was a research institution or tier
Yes,
1
yes.
or something like that.
Oh,
And
yes. That
and
makes
that's
a
why they
difference.
would like provide the financing
Right.
for like if you're tenure tracked and you're going to do something. I think that's great.
Right.
Webster is not a research institution. And like in the interview, I was like, so what do we do here? Like what? And they were like,
Yeah.
all we care about, nothing else is we just care that you're teaching students. Like that's all we care about. Like we don't care if you're off lighting design. We don't care if you're a professional.
Oh, that's great.
That's what they said to us in the interview. And then I start talking with the other professors because I have a toddler at home that's 3 years old. So I actually am trying not to travel as much as possible. And as a lighting designer, especially in St. Louis, like you have to travel to the professional gigs. So I'm like, this is perfect for me. I just have to teach and then I'll get tenure because it's amazing because I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And then I get like talking to all the faculty, and it's no different than ASU, where they're like, "Oh no, we need to go like be professionals, and we need to be, like do that." And I agree with that. I think whoever like you're teaching, like you should be working professionally to make sure you know that. But it's weird because the university provides no support in that regard, which is sort of like okay. The way they phrased it to me in the hiring process was, "We don't support it. However, you get paid to go do those things, so it's like you get paid extra." And I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. I think mine was a little different in my interview was all of these things that are just would be really great. And, this is what you could do. And I came with a list, like all of these committees that I see and there can be a disconnect between what institutions say they value and what they actually fund or support. Those are just things I wish I would have known as a junior faculty member. I wish I've had a mentor. It's like, yeah, you get through the door, but that takes time. And then you need someone to kind of show you the ropes. And it can be difficult at first because no one else knows what's in my contract. Only I know what I need to be doing. And then everyone just questions why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because it's what I'm supposed to do. And so then, you're trying to be nice about it and say, okay, well, but it's like, no, this is what I was told I have to do. And so people don't understand that. And then so it's kind of like coming into academia for me has been like, wow, this is kind of how I thought about it. Like, wow, you graduate, you get all the degrees, you do all the things, you do everything you're supposed to do. You climb this ladder and then you get to the top of the ladder. And then people are like, yeah, but the other ladder's over there. And then it's all the you're like, I got to go up another ladder. I got to play these games for how many years to be able to get tenure. And I say play these games, but it's like half of the things that are but I'm supposed to do in 3 years, I've already completed. So I'm like, so what do I do now? And because of the transition and everything, it's been really difficult. I didn't know it would be like this. I love where I am. I love the students. I love my colleagues. But it's just that internal thing that you don't really, what am I supposed to do next? Like I think people expect you to know, and that's why I do what I do, because maybe somewhere along the line I missed it. Maybe because of my lack of resources, I missed it. So that's why I teach the way I do, and that's why I try to give students everything I can, because I don't want them to end up in the same situation. I feel like I'm always catching up, no matter where I am. And people are like, yeah, you got these degrees and you got all this, and I'm like, hey, no one knows what they're doing. We're all just living and floating around this marble in the universe. But yeah.
the like you do all you can to give to your students. I think it's so wonderful. But I also just observe this at ASU, but I guess education just in general, of like how much the professors and the instructors and the staff make a difference. And part of that is like the amount of time and effort they put into things is just insane. Because even I was talking about how I get to recruit my own students, and that's that's something I love. I think that's so cool. However, each of those interviews, minimum 90 minutes. And then I have to coordinate that with them and then arrange their visit and stuff like that. And that shows up nowhere on like my professor duties. So we're like, and like right now we're in the like the recruiting phase where everyone's interviewing for these things. This is adding like 10 hours to my plate every week. And it's like, and so it's all these things that like add up that in the university, you were talking about that disconnect. There's all these expectations of things that have to happen, and the amount of time doesn't exist in the world.
No, exactly. I mean, we're encouraged to produce and research and build programs and mentor students. When it comes to funding that work, especially like innovative or community-centered work, it becomes much harder to access. So for those of us doing work around belonging and access in underrepresented communities, it's often seen as extra instead of essential. But I mean, I'm grateful that my new administration is dedicated to my work and seeing it grow. That has not always been my experience, and I know it's not true. It's not the experience of others either. But this is real, like labor, like hidden labor in academia. It's real and it's heavy.
Anytime I see like an article that's like academics are using ChatGPT or blah blah blah, it's like I'm like go for it, colleagues, because
they're doing it. Like,
well, for example, no, and I mean from the faculty side, not the student side. My university is actually very unique in that my students are very anti AI. It's sort of incredible. They like if I even hint at it, they're like, Ethan, don't you go doing that.
I love that. Academic integrity. I love it. I love it.
But, but like recommendation letters. So the amount of recommendation letters I need to be writing is just insane. I have a folder. And I'm not saying I'm up to like 20, which may sound like nothing, but it's like I have to, reformat. I got to rewrite. I got to make it specific to the student. And don't worry, I'm boilerplating it quite a bit. Like I'm, like making sure I can like search the program and find the name and then replace it all. Stuff like that. So I'm doing it as like generically as I can to save my time. And it's funny you said junior faculty member, because I guess I'm a junior faculty member, but I in my brain, I'm just a faculty member. So it never crossed my mind that I was junior, but I am. But there are all these things that I have to learn. And one of those things is like the recommendation letters and the shortcuts you have to take to just pump these things out. Because at first I would say to students like, hey, can you just write it for me? And then I'll and they were like, that's weird, Ethan, we're not going to do it. Like, I did that all the time. Like that,
exactly.
In the old world, people did that. That was normal. So you're saying this is not a normal thing for me to ask?
Thank you. I hope my students will listen to this, because I told them the same thing. They looked at me like I had 3 eyes. So I'm like, I don't know you better than you know you. Like, help me help you.
Exactly. Like sometimes they'll send me like a long like paragraph thing of like, oh, you're supposed to address these. And I'm just like, that's not happening. Like, I want you to get the thing, but you're going to get it on your own merits, because this letter's just going to be they're great,
Yeah. Oh, my God. No, I feel you. That's been my life lately. And I'm like, do I really know you like that? Are you really?
Can we also talk about morality here and recommending people? Because like I have been jaded in my life, and so I'm like very careful to not recommend fellow lighting designers or whatever. And if I do, I put caveats of like, oh, I think you'd work really well together or something. But now this spring, I had like this barrage of requests for recommendations for my students. This program here and this summer stock here and this. Anyway, all my students are great, so this is clearly not an issue for me. Okay. But I was writing some, and I was like, yeah, they're great. But in my head, I'm like, ooh, they have a couple issues that I need.
Listen, I tell my students, I said, don't ask me for a recommendation, because I don't lie. Like if these are people that we know, that we'll be, we know people that are in this business, and you're not about to make me look bad. I told my students who went to ASU, I said, this whole week is a test. So after every day, I would give them their notes like I was a director. Like, this is what you did wrong. This is what you should be doing, because you have to learn this etiquette get about interviewing, and there's just some things that they don't know. So I was really soft with them about it, but it's all an interview, because now you're showing me how professional you can be if you were to get an interview that I sent a recommendation for. You're not about to be out here making me look bad. So if you're coming to my class late, or you don't show up, or you're missing days, that tells me that you won't show up on whatever this is, because this is your education. You're paying for this. So I mean, it's just common sense to me. But yeah, so I tell them, like, don't have me lying for you, because I'm not.
And also, any students of CeCe who may have a beef with CeCe, don't
No,
worry
I
about
better listen.
asking for the recommendation, because this has happened in my life. I also have honesty as a policy, and I have like gotten on the phone with some people and then been like, I've just told them the truth. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you should hire them, and blah blah blah, and people still hire them. And
That's
it's like,
true.
okay,
Yeah, that's true.
which is totally fine, because
Everybody
they're
has to
like,
learn.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, everybody is that way, sort of
Yeah.
like every, unfortunately.
No, I
That's
did.
just
I had someone working on a team of mine, and they weren't the kindest, and didn't really understand like my process and everything, and was very combative. And I'm just not that kind of person. But I was like, okay, I'll probably never work with this person again. But then someone asked me for this specific like role, and I was like, I can't gatekeep. Like, maybe that was just me. Maybe they didn't like me or whatever. So I sent over the recommendation and all the information, and then I sent them an email, and I was like, okay, so I recommended you for this thing because somebody's looking, but let me tell you about the things that I felt you could have not done better, but how I felt like you stepped out of line, or stepped on my toes, as as a director of this show. And so they were very grateful. They were receptive of that. So I was glad that I'm not one of those people, because I've had those people in my life. Like, you do one thing wrong and I'm never gonna recommend you anywhere. That's not gonna be me. But I will tell you where you're wrong. Because I don't, we can leave our feeling. We're artists, and we're very sensitive about all the work that we do. But if I don't tell you, you'll make the mistake somewhere else, and someone else might not, be as gracious.
Yeah, I totally agree. For me, it's like, if you don't turn in your homework, if you don't show up on time, like, the reason I rag on these things are because, like, these are things that you have to do in the real life. Like, if you're gonna do lighting for a show, like, you have to turn in your light cues. You can't not turn in your light cue.
Oh Lord, yeah, lighting is. Oh, that's such a touchy subject for me.
And so if it's like, if I don't hold you to a standard,
Yeah.
like, and
Mhm.
I must say about myself, I think I'm like the most, not kindest lighting professor in the entire globe, but I surely am up there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
if I'm asking you for something, or if I'm holding you to a standard, like, I don't know, like, I'm not asking for much, is what I'm saying. Like, I
Yeah.
just want.
See, I think we could have done. You know what? I wish we could have worked together. I wish we could have worked more together. Ah, I was so
Okay.
busy those days.
Can I ask you about why lighting is
Yeah.
a
Oh
touchy
God.
subject for you? Because I know a little bit of the
Woo,
background,
okay.
and I don't want to call anybody out, but you did once mention to me, like, I was going to be a lighting designer, and I like fell
Yeah.
off my chair because I was
Yeah.
like, "Excuse me, what?"
I think the statute of limitations has gotten, so I can talk about it now. No. I can talk about it now because I'm over that pain in my life. But yes, I was interested in being a lighting designer. I was a theater studies major, and so we have to learn everything. We didn't have there was no concentration. It was like I had to learn how to do costumes and lights and construction and all of that. And so my favorite was lights. I don't know. I remember staying up, it was like 12 hours for Scrooge, up doing a spotlight. And I didn't want to come down because I was like, nobody's going to take my spot. So I was just really excited about lighting. But I was living out of my car at that time, and I had did a double shift. I came out late. I had to do a light plot, and I could not. It was so big. I don't know. Do y'all still use those big old sheets?
Sure
Oh
do.
no, that thing is traumatizing. It was so big, and what was I gonna do? It on the hood of my car at nighttime under the lights of the Walmart parking lot? And it was a Sunday night, and a Monday I had to present, and I had went to school, and I was like, I can't get it done. There wasn't enough light. It's not enough space. I'm just gonna ask if I can go on Wednesday. I thought it would be cool because I was like, nobody really knows my situation. So, but I didn't think I had to just wanted to ask, right? So, apparently we had a special guest that day, and I went up to my professor very, like, "Hey, I was a good student, first of all. I went, "How are you doing? I hope all is well. I was just wondering if I can go on Wednesday." And the look that he gave me, I was like, "Oh god." And I was like, "I can explain to you if you want me to, but, I couldn't get it done," And he turned around and told the class to pay attention and said, "Listen, this is who you don't want to be." And I was mortified. Um I already, coming in, everyone had a leg up on me. I mean, I'm a non-traditional theater student. We didn't have this in my school. We barely had books. So I didn't learn any of this until I came into college. And, everyone else, some people laughed, some other people were mortified. I think the TA was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I was just so embarrassed that every time after that I would even look at a lighting plot or I just I couldn't get over it. And so I had to find something else to do.
Goodness.
I could not get over it.
That mortifies me, and I think I would have done anything but lighting after that.
Listen, Ethan, if I ever see this person in the street, it might be a situation because I'm over it, but
I'm assuming they're older, and older people, gross generalization
well, no,
here.
they were my age now. Like who I am now, they were younger. They had to be in their 40s. They weren't older, but very.
Well, because I was going to say, I don't have that many people to listen to this podcast, but like it's in the 200 listener range, and most of them are lighting designers. So I'm like, oh, if this person taught me, they're going to be
you
so
traumatized me, sir. And I just hope that you are a better person, because I prayed for your downfall. No, I didn't. I prayed that you would be blessed in your life, your whole life. But that kind of pain altered my whole life. It altered my career. It altered how I spoke, how I didn't speak up in classes, how I made myself very small and mousy in spaces, how I was unsure about everything I did. It took me from a place of like confidence and joy, even living in my car. It took me from this very beautiful place, and it was like the truth just ripped. I don't know. The veil just came off, and it was like, wow, this world is ugly, and this is supposed to be where I'm the safest. And yeah, I don't even rep that college anymore. I don't even think I have a coffee mug. We grew up in different. Like my students don't understand what kind of theater we grew up in. They have I won't say they have it soft, but they have a caring theater now. They have these safe sets and they have these community agreements. They didn't care about no damn community. You're going to do what I say you're going to do when I say, or I'll find somebody else to do it. I don't care what you got going on. And I think that really defined, at that moment, I knew I was going to be a professor, but that defined how I was going to walk in this world as a person, as a human, and making sure that, I don't know what everyone is going through. Even in my situation now at my university, coming in as the new person, so hard. I think everyone needs to experience that because it's really hard to get your like, that you're new there, but you're not new to this work. And so having to, prove yourself, it kind of makes you think like, wow, I could probably be doing something else. I'm gonna stick in there because, this is what I'm meant to do. But yeah, I've had that's just one story. I've had some really tough theater exchanges, and I refuse to allow my students as much as they get on my nerves. I will always advocate for them. I will be their biggest advocate.
Yeah, I mean, that is like mortifying. And I'm not saying I didn't have any experiences like that because I also am a good student and I'm also really into lighting. And I also wasn't living out of my car. So while I had second jobs and stuff like that and wasn't getting sleep and all that, I still like did the work. And also it was so helpful to me because the rest of the students weren't very good. So I could do like an okay job and it would be amazing.
Right.
All my classmates, if any of them listen to this, are like, Ethan, whoa. So I didn't have any of that, but I in my own life, I am lack confidence, and I need to go talk to a professional about this, and they can help me work on this, because sometimes I lack confidence and for no reason, and it's just baked into my existence. But I think it's for little examples like that, where it's I've learned to be in the corner. I've learned to make myself small. I've learned how to get along with people. And part of it is I'm totally cool with it. It's I don't have an ego. And I'm proud of that in a way, because I'm I don't need an ego. Yeah. But then there's other times where it's no, I need the big ego. I need to be noticed. I need to be that lighting designer. We have to get him because he has
yes.
So it's
I'm working on my ego now. 2026 is they are right about when you turn a certain age, you're I don't care about nothing. That's where I am right now. I'm gonna get my ego. I'm still gonna be kind about it, but you need me. You want to work with me. Okay, I'm a good time, and I get the work done plus and some.
Well, I can second that, and I'm working on it, CeCe. I'll find a show for you to direct somewhere so that I can lighting design it. But yes,
no, I love
it. Director.
Yeah. Thank you. I had a really good time, and I think that goes to show how important it is for a university to choose the right people to be in that space. They really kind of just made the program what I needed it to be. There was no ego there. It was the right people. So
Can I shout out ASU's theater department, because I loved it there. I'm not teaching there anymore, but that was because I just needed to be in a different part of the country. But I am so glad, because when I showed up, I have never been around a place that was so student-centered and student-focused. And I'm not saying they're perfect, but and I'm not saying Webster is not perfect.
Yeah.
But Webster, by comparison, it's a little bit more of the students feel a little bit like workhorses, or they have to do this and churn it out. And if they get sick, no one's saying this. We're all about safety and sickness and whatever. But the vibe isn't not there of if they're sick and have a cold, they still have to come in and run the follow spot or whatever.
Yeah.
And ASU was no, if they have a cold, they stay home and we find somebody else. Because yes, theater is this art form where it's you, the lighting designer, are the only one that can do that. There's certainly truth to that, but it's also but also your health is important. So if you need to stay away, the lighting's not going to be what you intended it to be, but it's going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. And that is the only place in the world I've known that
me too.
That treated the students that way. You know what I mean?
Me too.
And like you, I'm trying to bring that into Webster. When I showed up, I was these students are overworked. All right. Let's adjust that. And so I made some adjustments that there was all these things they wanted us to light, and I just said no. I was I'm sorry. We will give you the tools to help you guys light them yourselves, but my students, they cannot be doing that much. But also I just to hail back to your terrible story that's going to keep me up at night. It's I'm raising my toddler, right? And I need to be that father where he makes a mistake, right? He does something he shouldn't. He goes out drinking, or I don't know, just something that some kid is going to do when he's 18 or 17 or 16, and he's going to be so embarrassed by it. And it's not going to, anyway, but I need to be that space for him so that he can tell me hey, I'm in trouble with the law. And I'm all right, let's figure it out, man. And with my students, I need that too. It's I need at least the lighting classes to be a safe space for you that yes, if you don't do your homework, I will jokingly flip a table and be all right, we don't have anything to do today. Bring your homework. But it's I need you to just be honest with me. And I can't understand why every other professor isn't that way. I can't imagine.
You have to be careful also, because the honesty, sometimes my students tell me things, I'm you could have kept that to yourself, or make sure that you get, and because my daughter's the same way, I'm maybe I'm too much of a safe space because you're just telling me all your business. But I wish that, instead of telling everyone this is who you don't want to be, that professor would have turned around and said, are you okay? Is everything okay? Was there or ask me what was the reason? And then I could have told you what the reason was. But over the years, I said, well, maybe they were having a bad day. It's funny how this professor probably doesn't even remember any of that, but it's funny how, I'll never forget it, and it has impacted my life negatively and positively in some areas.
I mean, I think in a way, I don't want you to have had gone through it, but to solidify, yes, I'm not going to be like that. I think those are always, good experiences to have, even though they're really unpleasant.
I didn't have those thank God I didn't have those experiences at ASU. I was nervous about coming in. I know that there were some instances where, I was looked over for some things because people cared about, me a little bit too much. And, where you're doing a PhD program, we didn't want to put too much on you. And I had to say, ask me first. It's like, I came to this program because this is what I wanted to do. I can handle the two schools and the working. I can handle it. Like, this, the kind of person that I am, I can handle it. So once that got out the way and I had to, say, please don't speak for me, allow me to tell you no, then everything just went smoothly. Like, they really prepared me. And then I took a preparing future faculty class my last semester with the grad college, which I don't know why all of the grad students don't take. And I really do believe that was how I got my job right out of college, because they showed me how to do everything. So hopefully if you go to ASU and you're in the grad program, take the preparing future faculty class with the grad college.
Yeah, I would recommend it not having taken it. Just
It was
because
great.
I was out of school for however long, 15 years before I started teaching. So it wasn't like so I didn't even think about it. But now in hindsight, now that I've been teaching in two different places, which are not like just academia as a system, right? And you have to navigate it. And also I have to learn not to care. Like right now, we're like reshaping our degree is changing. So instead of having a lighting design BFA, we're now just having a BFA in theater design, stage management, production, something like that. And so they say like, you don't have to change anything, but also we need you to make all these changes to the curriculum and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like trying to make changes, and I'm learning that half of my faculty, the colleagues, they don't want to change anything. So like the unwritten rule is we're not changing anything until they make it. And here I'm out there like, why won't anybody talk to me about this? What's going on? And like, it took me like 3 months, and I'm now like, oh, I shouldn't be doing anything. I need to sit back and like not do anything.
But do you? Like, that's what.
No, I don't. I'm still moving.
That's what's so confusing for me, because it's like I am a doer, and I understand people get comfortable. You get comfortable in doing and teaching what you've been teaching for years. You don't want to change, but I'm a researcher, so that's all I have to do. I'm going to be researching new things, and I'm going to be implementing those new things in my classrooms. And even though I teach the literature-based history courses, history doesn't change, but I have to add on to it. So I have to continue to work. And that's what, like, I don't want to get tenure, and then sometimes I don't want to be on the tenure track, because it's like, I don't want to get lazy. I don't want to, but I'm looking at people around me. I'm like, I want to continue to give effort. I know me, I'm going to do it because I love education and I love learning and I love teaching, but it can really weigh heavily on you when you're just like, how come I'm moving? Am I moving in warp speed that no one can catch up? I have no idea.
Well, I just wish it was like written down somewhere that like because I'm like, I just want honesty, right? And I'm like, why didn't they just tell me they weren't going to do it and that I had to do it on my own? Because I was trying to include them, and now I realize, oh, I just have to do it on my own, which is fine. Because everyone. But
I just want to do it. Like, can I do it without having to ask people to? It's so strange. From what I know about being like tenure track, like I have my contract, I have everything I need to be doing, and then I'll get like, well, why are you doing this? Because I have to do it. Like, can I do it without? Can I just do it? Is there an opportunity in academia for me to just be? And I promise you, it's going to be great. I promise you, when you get it, it's going to be. All T's will be crossed, all I's will be dotted. You will not have to worry about a thing. I will handle it. But can you let me get there first? Can I do it?
I will just say, I'm not worried about tenure track, you getting complacent or anything like that. Because just from what I've witnessed in the world at my places that I've taught, there are tenure track people that are really active professionals doing their thing, accomplishing a lot. And then there are others that don't. And so I don't know that it really impacts anything. But for the people that do get complacent, that's just them. That's on them. But I'm not worried about you.
Thank you.
Okay. You had talked about being a theater historian, and I'm just curious, like, you're an educator, you're teaching performance, you're teaching theater history. Like, what do you...
I'm teaching African-American drama and theater history. I have a 2-2, so I teach 2 classes.
Got it. And then is your research part, is that... the program that you run? Is that your research?
Yes, that's one of the programs. Right now, I just published with Arts Praxis, or it was the NYU's Arts Praxis in December. So my main focus is imposter syndrome and sense of belonging for students of color in theater. And so still doing that. So this research part, yes, my students who go on this exchange, they do have questions that they have to answer, and that will be added to my research. But this summer when I'm in Ghana, not only am I building the International Theater Exchange Program, I'm also going to be researching Ebo Whyte, who is, they say, the Tyler Perry of Ghana. I got to meet him last October when I was in Ghana, when Semester at Sea came through there. And that's how we got the invitation to come bring some students, because he's a playwright and a director, and very big in Ghana. And so he has like over 78 plays or so. And I'm like, we need to know about him. Why am I not learning? Why am I not teaching about the African part of African American drama? Or it could just be Black American drama. Because if African is in there, and I'm teaching in our theater history, well, the theater history book I'm teaching out of now has nothing in there about African American theater. That's so sad to say. But so I had to get the 3 pages out of the other theater history book, and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for a continent so big, with so many countries, for us to not know and not be teaching. So that's where I'm going. I'm going to be, I wanted to do it all, but I need to focus on just like West African, Ghanaian theater. And so I'll be interviewing Ebo Whyte. I'll be talking, researching who he is, why he does what he does, his directing style, his being a playwright in his plays, and how some of the practices that they use at the rehearsals kind of mirror ours, and what has survived the transatlantic slave trade, all of that. And then I'll also be taking some time to research Anansianism, which is like Anansi the spider, and how that translates into theater. It's still working in my mind. And then building the theater exchange program, but also learning myself about Ghanaian theater. So those are my current research focuses. Just put a little bit on my plate, just a tad.
So if you were going to direct another show, like if somebody came to you and they're like, we have $4 trillion and we just want to produce one show and you can direct this. What would the show? Okay, I put too much pressure on it. We have $20,000 in which to produce a play.
All right,
so you can pay. You can't have any scenery or anything, but you can have some actors and you can have a director yourself. What play would you want to do? Or if your school came to you and was like, "Could you direct a play?"
Ooh.
Mine's simple. I would do Singing in the Rain.
You do Singing in the Rain? Okay. I was like, Once on This Island, but our program is not it's not a musical theater program, even though we do musical theaters or musicals. But I feel like that can get dangerous because, our students have to have the right training to be able to do some of these things and read music and all of that. But Once on This Island might be nice. But there was this show that I saw in Thailand, and I've seen theater all over the world, but this I will never get out of my mind. And I'm sitting there just watching this show go on. Can't understand anything that's happening. But they were in the forest is what I recall. And next thing you know, like the floor drops and then there's just water in the middle of the stage and they're in a canoe and they're just going. And I'm just like, I was drooling, like, what is going on? Then the canoe left and the floor came back and they're just dancing again on the floor. And I was like, what? I don't know how they did that, but I will spend the rest of my life trying to figure out how I can direct a show where the stage drops out and water just rushes in. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's more than 20,000, but
maybe it depends. It depends. All right. So if any playwrights are listening, they can just write a show where the floor disappears and water appears, and then
I'm your girl.
CeCe's ready to direct it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, CeCe, I've had a great time. We should wrap it up though, because otherwise we'll talk forever. And I do not apologize for not talking as much about business and finance as people might want us to talk about. But you know what? So I am unapologetic. My ego is big. I do everything perfectly.
I mean, the 2026, we're working on egos. So.
Yeah. But let me ask you one finance-ish question before I let you go. And that is just like this program that you did and you financed the first year and you seem to finance yourself for the other stuff, but like you've gotten traction here with your administration. If there's somebody else that has like a program or something like this in academia that they want to try, what advice do you have for them, maybe regarding the financing or the administration part of it?
First, don't wait for permission to start your vision or have your vision planned out. Build the idea first, then find the funding, be ready to clearly explain why your work matters, what impact it will have. What worked for me is connecting it to student success, community engagement, institutional goals. Yeah. And then you also have to build relationships so that it's not a transactional kind of thing. Like, I just want this thing from you. Like, how can we build this? Because a lot of your opportunities will come through people, not just budgets. Also, document everything because your work ends up becoming your evidence. I have a hard time with that, especially with budgets, because I have dyscalculia, and if people don't know what that is, it's like if someone with dyslexia, the way they see words is how I see numbers, and so until I got into my senior year of college, I thought that was normal, and so I triple, quadruple check everything because the way that my brain processes numbers is different, but that's what makes me so special. Not many like me, but so I have a hard time when it comes to financing and even this program. If I ever wanted to just sit on its own, I don't know how I would do that. I would probably have to hire someone to do it so that I can feel secure in knowing that my money's not flying around somewhere. But I mean, as an artist, I think it's important to know our strengths and our weaknesses, and that's one of mine. Yeah. So
no, I think it's great, and I think because what I heard from that was like focus on the part where it impacts the students and why it's important in your mission of wherever you are, and then find the people that can make it happen, or build those relationships. Which,
I mean, it's an institution. Like, it's a school, but it's a business, and they want to know what they're getting out of it also, But that's not just with the school. When you're getting money from anyone, like, is it going to be tax deductible? Like, people want something out of it, so.
All right, CeCe, last question for you. Yeah. Where can people connect with you, and or who do you want to connect with you, if anybody?
Right. I don't like people. No, I'm just playing. I'd love to connect with, I would absolutely love to connect with institutions that are serious about building equitable partnerships, artists and educators that are doing community-centered work, and funders who genuinely want to invest in access and transformation. But honestly, I always want to connect with students, especially those trying to find their place in this field and need someone to remind them that they belong here. So if they want to reach out to me, I can be reached at CeCe Ortiz-Barnett, CortizBarnett @gmail.com. Or on Instagram at CeCeBme01. So that's CeCeBeMe01. Don't judge me. I don't know what was going on there. But yeah.
No, I think that's awesome, because also like the podcast players now will like transcribe things for us. So you've just transcribed it really clearly for them.
Listen, look, another skill on my resume.
Also, CeCe, this just popped into my head, having nothing to do with anything but student-centered stuff, is that like as I've been recruiting at Webster, I always make sure to have the person interviewing like meet with a current student. Yeah. And I just have to give a shout out to students, because sometimes they pleasantly surprise me, because I don't know, they have this reputation for always being overworked, always being tired, always being like, I can't turn in the homework, or I can only put one light on the plot, blah, blah. That's sort of the existence we all live in, is like, I'm the professor and they're the student. So like, that's like a permanent thing. But when a current student meets with a future student, it is like all that disappears, and they become like, explain how much they love Webster. And I always I don't eavesdrop. I always go away so that they can talk, but I eavesdrop a little bit. And I just love seeing how proud the students are of all that hard work that they're doing. And then they get to tell this new person who has no idea what they're getting into, oh my gosh, it's amazing. You're going to love it. I love that about my students because I know they're proud of it and I know they're loving it. And
oh my God, I love that. I love that because you sound how I sound about I love my students, and they need people like us who are not jaded or, we just want the best for them. We want them to be great. I want them to be on red carpets and be like, oh, I taught them, I want them to give me a shout out sometime or so. But it's that is, we all have a collective goal, and that's for our students to be great and to to learn. I love my students, and I can see that you love yours too, so
yeah,
that's awesome.
And they love us even though they never say it or act like it.
Yeah, they're brats.
I've seen through
yeah, they love us. They love us. They do.
Cool. And one day, now, no jokes aside, your students and my students, so yours are going to be performing on Broadway. Mine are going to be designing on Broadway, electricianing on Broadway, tours.
Look at us.
Super Bowl, whatever it is. They will. This is just a fact. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And yes, I will be proud. And I tell my students that too. I'm like, when you give your speech, which I will stream because the designers, they never put on the main part. So I have to go look it up elsewhere. But I will find it.
Right.
I will find it. And then I will show it. And I will be like, look, this person learned everything they know from me.
Yep.
I was like, we all know that's not true, but I will be saying it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I will be saying it. Amazing.
You may forget me, but I won't forget you.
I have a list.
Yeah.
CeCe, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're just such a pleasant human being. This was awesome. And also you're a really good director and also pleasant as a director. And you are the theater person. You are just the person that in my brain, in my ideal situation, I'm sort of like you, because just kind, making things happen. Always having energy, even though we're always drained. So thank you for taking some of this time and your energy to sit down with us.
No, thank you for seeing all of that in me and wanting me to come and just talk about my trauma. And no.
There was only one tiny little trauma
just
thing.
A little bit, No, I really appreciate it. Normally I don't I'm just very, very behind the scenes kind of person. And so getting to talk about what I'm doing and what I want to do is pretty new for me at this point. I have to talk about it. So thank you for giving me the safe space to do so. I really appreciate it.
Well, also, thank you for not telling me you were a behind the scenes person until right now, because what people don't know is that we actually 11 months ago started trying to get this on the calendar.
Yep.
And I thought it was just schedules and things, but now I'm learning you were like, maybe he'll just forget that we were going to do this. And then...
Well, you were not good. You were not forgetting. So I was like, I got to do it. I have to do this thing. No, it was a thank you. No, thank you. I'm really working on myself. I might research imposter syndrome, but I research it for a reason. So, I think we all have a touch of it, and we are battling that thing. But no, I really appreciate you.
Not an imposter at all. You're super cool. All right, peace out. Have a good life.
Bye. You too. And maybe we'll work together soon. Who knows? I'm off for the summer, so
I'll figure out. I mean, if they're doing Detroit 67, that's a show I know so they have to do some other shows. It has to be in town because I'm trying not to go out of town. So
got it. I like to travel. It's all good. So.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. Anybody listening, if you're in St. Louis and you have a show you need directed, call CeCe because then I can light it. Okay, good. Okay, glad we figured out all the logistics.
Got it.
All right, peace out, CeCe. Thank you.
Bye.
That's it for this week's episode. My takeaways are simple because what we discussed is sort of nuanced and there's a lot to it. And so I don't have actionable takeaways. But a big one is that CeCe is such a dedicated educator. It is amazing to me. Those students are lucky to have her, and that programming that she's doing is amazing. Now, I am not willing to put in that energy, right? So even though exchange and exploration are essential to theater artistry, and from a designer perspective, I think that every aspiring theater designer should work on a production in another country, right? Or at another institution, because for lighting designers, the quality of light, right, is the same anywhere on the globe. But the method, the style, the communication of achieving that design, that is all different. And so gaining an alternative perspective is only going to enhance your aesthetic and your workflow. And so I think that every student, yes, should get a chance to partake in an exchange like that. And I certainly think institutions should enable that and fund that. But I am way too self-centered to give my time, energy, and money in the way that CeCe is to make that happen for other people, as much as I care about my students. So anyway, CeCe is amazing and absolutely good on her. And with that funding, sure, it isn't there, right? It never is. But at the same time, if you are like CeCe and you have a vision and you can build the relationships with your administrators and fill out all the paperwork, you can build something and get it funded that will have lasting impact. We've caught CeCe, halfway through, but she's going to continue on with this and she is going to find funding because she's found a void, she's filling a need, and she's putting in the time and the effort. So don't be like me and don't do it. Be like CeCe and make the thing happen. And my last takeaway is tough love. We talked about how important it is to be able to have fun and learn and work, but do it in a fun way. But I just want to add that beyond that, we do take our job seriously and we do have to educate students on skills and how to enter the workforce. And there is hard work and learning that does have to happen. And I'm just mentioning this because if you're our students, we still have to push you, right? And you're not going to appreciate us every day. But CeCe and I are only just saying we're not going to push you too far, but we do have to push you. All right. Thank you again to CeCe for taking the time to talk with me. The quick update on my life and podcast things. This is mostly just to explain why there was a 6-month gap without a podcast. So obviously, you know that I'm working at Webster University now. And basically that takes a lot of energy because the lighting department, which is me, right? We cover about 9 to 11 shows a year. And that's not counting student projects and some additional dance projects. And that's just a lot of load-in days, focus days, tech days, and rehearsal days. And then in addition to that, this semester, there was this degree change and a lot of administration and recruiting work that had to happen. And then in my personal life, right, I have a 3-year-old and he does not sleep through the night on the regular. That's just never been a thing he really likes to do. And so with all that combined, as is my style, I chose to get sleep instead of putting out episodes. And then when the semester ended, I immediately flew to Toronto to light Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish. And I want to give a shout out to my associate designer there, Emily Trimby, who is one of the most talented and pleasant associates I've ever worked with. I don't know if it's official. I haven't signed a contract yet, but we're doing that show. We're remounting that show in LA next year. And I really want to bring Emily because she's incredible. But I looked into it and it would cost about $10,000 to take somebody from Canada and get them a gig here in the US. So unfortunately, I can't ask the producers to pay that amount of money. But if I ever get a Broadway show, I am bringing Emily on, right? We're going to pay that $10,000, we'll pay the housing, the per diem, whatever. Emily is so good that I've got to make that happen. That being said, if you are a Broadway producer considering hiring me for something and you're worried about this Emily thing and you don't want to pay for that, let's just talk. Just hire me first. We'll talk about it. Everything's negotiable, right? Okay. I'm a very reasonable human being. Okay. Anyway, after doing Yiddish Fiddler in Toronto, I then flew to Nashville and I did projections and lighting for a new country musical called Stardust Riders. It's a really funny show and I hope that it continues to have a life because I know that people will enjoy it. Like I laugh at it. I laughed out loud at it. It's really good. Anyway, but the video content for that took a lot of prep work and it took more of my time than I wanted. And so that's another reason that there was a pause on podcast episodes, because I was prioritizing that show versus the podcast. A big shout out to my associate projection designer, Max Bowman. He created a lot of incredible content, and he also picked up a lot of my slack when I was getting waylaid by teaching and parent duties. So thank you, Max. I owe you an arm and a leg. Now, upcoming work I have is Beautiful, the Carole King musical. That's going to be at Alabama Shakespeare Festival in July. And that is directed and choreographed by the incredible Deidre Goodwin. And there's a set designer that I've never worked with before, but I have followed them on Instagram and LinkedIn for years, Seth Howard. And so I'm just really excited that I get to work with him. So this is exciting for me. And I got to say, his renderings and his prep work are amazing. So looking forward to that. And then after that, I don't have a show until September, and that is The Color Purple, which is for the Black Rep here in St. Louis. Oh, and then Stardust Riders, which is that country musical I mentioned. They are maybe doing a one-night show November 12th here in St. Louis at the Kirkwood Performing Arts Center, but that is not official, I don't think. So you can pencil that in. Well, you don't have to. I have to go. I have to be there. So I'll pencil it in, but don't ink it in yet. Okay. And the final update for me is merely that I might not get an episode out next week because Nicole and I are taking vacation. So we're going to be with her family at the lake in Arkansas. Now that episode is with Ramey Cornell, who is a fellow educator at Webster with me. So that'll be another educator episode. I swear this isn't turning into an educator podcast. But listening back with CeCe, and also last week's episode with Carl Faber, I have got to get back on the wagon of more interviews, because not only do I learn a lot from them, but I love talking with people. Like, these are so much fun for me to sit down and do. And speaking of that, just today, this morning, I interviewed Jesse Alford, who is a lighting designer, and he lit Circus Flora here in St. Louis. And that conversation was so much fun. Like, I'm just loving these conversations. So I hope that comes across. I don't know. I hope people enjoy listening, because I'm just having such fun talking with people. That episode with Jesse will be out in 3 weeks, unless you're a Patreon patron, which means you can go listen to it right now. And you can do that at patreon.com/artisticfinance, and it's episode 203. Wasn't that a good way that I introduced the Patreon? And actually, side note here, I am in talks maybe to do a live episode, or at least record a live episode up in New York. No date, no time, no details yet, but I am in conversations with somebody about doing that. Nothing huge, just like a small group somewhere, interviewing some people. And anyway, I'm bringing that up because I wouldn't be opposed if people join up as patrons and help me pay for my plane ticket and my hotel up there to do that. Anyway, but you also don't have to. I have a real job. I'm at Webster University making my money, so I can pay for my hotel and flight myself. But again, not opposed to people joining up on Patreon if you're so inclined. Anyway, enough about that. My last thing I'll leave you with is, if you're in St. Louis and you want to catch a circus, go check out Circus Flora. It's running until June 21st. We took Theo this past weekend, and I had the most fun that I have ever had in my life. Like, bar none, right? So Theo is just over 3. Let me paint the picture for you. The most beautiful little toddler boy I've ever seen in my life. He happens to be my son. He's just over 3. We bought him Dippin' Dots at the concession stand. And then we go in, we find our seats, and we sit down. And we got there just in time. The first set of acrobats is starting to do their tumbling. And Theo is just like watching this, and he's sitting on my lap, and I'm helping him feed the Dippin' Dots in, because he can't be bothered to look at the ice cream. He just has to look at the circus ring. And it was such a beautiful moment. And I just started ugly crying for like 10, maybe 15 minutes, because I was just so happy to be there in the moment. So I don't know if the circus was actually that amazing, or if I was just having an amazing time. And then I want to add this, that if you're a longtime listener, you maybe remember, because I've mentioned it before, but I sob whenever I see a live marching band or a live band. I don't know why this is. I have no idea, but there is just something where my body just starts crying. So the circus, of course, had a live band, which I imagine also had something to do with why I was so happy being there with Theo and Nicole. And I was just so overwhelmed because it was all just so perfect. Anyway, saying all this to say, go catch Circus Flora if you're in town in St. Louis. I have no affiliation with it, but just throwing it out there because I had a great time. That's it for today. Until next time, break a leg.
Thank you for listening to Artistic Finance, where we interview successful artists, leaders, and investors to help educate and inspire the creative community. To access our show notes and resources, go to artisticfinance.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any decision, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Artistic Finance. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.